Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So today's topic and kind of like headline is the most obvious or the most common sense transit project in Canada, and frankly I think the most common sense transit project in all of North America. What is that? It's the Burnaby Mountain Gondola. Now, I've talked about the Burnaby Mountain Gondola a bit in the past, but it's never been like a headline main topic, and so I just thought I need to make a video about it. The project is very common sense, and I think that the fact that it hasn't happened yet is disappointing, and it's a project that we really need to push for and make happen because it's a great project. So what is the Burnaby Mountain Gondola? So if you're not familiar with Vancouver, the city region, Vancouver is quite multi-nodal, and it has two main universities. Simon Fraser University, which is kind of to the northeast of the region, north of the Millennium Line, and kind of when the Millennium Line takes this big curve like that, it's kind of situated right in that curve. Now, there's also UBC, which is of course the kind of targeted endpoint for the Broadway subway extension, and SFU is conveniently located just north of the Millennium Line as well. So there's a lot of kind of nice synergy if you can connect both of the main universities on one line, I think. But you know, maybe the Millennium Line gets renamed the University Line, like in Toronto down the road. Who knows? But the point being made is that connecting Burnaby Mountain with a gondola makes a ton of sense. Now, why is that? Well, as you may imagine, because of its name, Burnaby Mountain is a mountain. Now, I think that a lot of people have issues with that mountain name because it's more like a giant hill. It's not like the Matterhorn or anything crazy like that, like what we think of when we hear mountain. But Burnaby Mountain is a big hill. And right now, SFU is served by a number of buses, which have to climb this really, really tall hill. It's steep. There's a lot of steep roadways that are quite circuitous. They go around the mountain, kind of switch back and that sort of thing. So the buses get worn out. They're large, articulated buses, a lot of them, because there's a lot of demand. The buses are all diesel, of course. Even though a trolley would probably make a lot of sense, there's no trolley lines up to Burnaby Mountain, so they're burning a ton of fuel, emitting a ton of fumes. During the winter, when there's a lot of snow on the roads and up on the mountain, which is, of course, because it is a hill or mountain, a bit more susceptible to kind of changing weather conditions, and that leads to a lot of class cancellations when there is snow on the hill, and that, you know, on a yearly basis is a bit of a problem, you might think, and a lot of people are accessing SFU via transit, and so that's hugely problematic. And then finally, kind of what I think the biggest issue is that buses just aren't as high quality as a proper rapid transit link. And so a Burnaby Mountain Gondola would solve literally all of these problems. And the best part about it is that gondolas are pretty cheap. The Burnaby Mountain Gondola project right now is estimated at, I think, less than $300 million. Now, $300 million, it's a lot of money. But in transit project terms, I mean, we're usually talking multiple billions of dollars. And to get such a big win as connecting a major university directly to the rapid transit network, well, I think it's a pretty good deal. Now, there would be two stations. One would be probably at Production Way University. There's some other proposals for different alignments and routes, but the best alignment is direct from Production Way University to basically the top of SFU, or Burnaby Mountain, or SFU Mountain, whatever you want to call it, close to where the existing main bus loop is, in the form of kind of like a nice terminal building. If you've been to Whistler, something like what we see in Whistler, a nice, pretty terminal building for the gondola. Now, the route would only take a couple minutes to traverse. It would be using large cabins, similar to the peak-to-peak gondola, again in Whistler, which would be using a triple cable system. Now, if you're wondering, how does the triple cable gondola work? Well, basically, there are two cables on the side which support the weight of the gondola, and these are not moving. So these are just static cables connected end-to-end on both of the up and down alignments. And then there's a central tow rope, essentially. So that central cable in the middle is the one that actually kind of rotates the whole length, and that's what pulls the gondola, but the weight is largely supported by the other cables. So these would be big gondolas, not the kind of resort gondolas or even most ski lift gondolas people would have used where you can fit like 6 people per cabin. You would be able to fit more like 20 people. So it's kind of like a small bus at every cabin, and the cabins would be going every couple seconds, and so, or 10, 15 seconds, so quite frequently. It's beautiful. Basically, the capacity would be quite a bit more than the current buses, and you also get the significant benefit of zero emissions, reliability in the snow. You get the kind of reliable travel time. There's not going to be a car crash that takes down the gondola and prevents reasonable travel times. There's no traffic. It's basically as high quality as a transit connection can be. And because of the fact that gondolas are just like continuously going, whenever you show up, the headway is always tiny because you can hopefully get on like the next cabin, or you at most might have to wait a few cabins, but still that's going to be max a couple minutes. So it's basically like a SkyTrain level headway for cheap. And so Burnaby Mountain Gondola makes a ton of sense. I wanted to talk about it a bit on the video, kind of demystify it a bit. Maybe there's something there, and I might do a full like detailed video showing you like different alignments that have been proposed and that sort of thing. There's some people pushing back who live under the gondola's alignment. I get it, but the gondola is going to be super high and it's going to be above them, so they don't really need to have huge privacy concerns because it's not going to be a glass floor. People will have to look out, and so they will be seeing buildings that are not directly under the alignment. So yeah, that's the Burnaby Mountain Gondola, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about for that. Now, some big news from me in the past little bit. I said that I'm going to be restarting the channel on October 19th, and people have asked recently why I'm planning on restarting the channel, or at least restarting regular posting and kind of trying to be frequent about it. And I think it's just kind of, in life, you should do what makes you happy and what grounds you, and making videos and producing content about transit is what grounds me. And so I'm really excited about getting back to it. I've been trying to engage a bit more on the various platforms with different people who I love chatting with. I love chatting with people on Discord especially. So if you're not on Discord, go join down below. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'd really appreciate it. It's good to get those numbers up over time. Those channels will be linked down below as well. And then finally, we created some merch, Ellen and I. Ellen is quite the artist, and so she was able to drop some designs. We're going to continually add more designs, and they're not all going to be anime-esque, but we have some merch. And so if you're interested in supporting the channel that way, in kind of like a one-time thing, then that's a great way to do it. You get something cool. It's through Redbubble, which is actually a really cool website because we have uploaded designs, and you can basically choose what you want to put the design on. And there's like a lot of different options. Mugs, shirts, sweaters, like art on your wall. There's a lot of cool stuff. So check it out if you want. Don't check it out if you don't want to. It's cool. But we did that. So I think that's kind of fun. So some plans regarding this restart, because I think people were probably going to be curious about what type of videos I'm planning on doing. I will be doing some demystified videos and future of videos. So I think those will be exciting and hopefully very successful. I'm planning on bringing back the station construction series because I think it's fun to have like regular updates and kind of see stations progress through construction, both upgrades and a new station, which is very exciting. Vancouver is lucky that we're getting a new station. If you are from Vancouver, you'll know what station I'm referring to, and if you're not, well, you're going to find out soon. I'm going to be doing more talking transit. I think those videos are great because you can kind of get perspectives from transit experts and professionals, and I think that's really cool because I'm not all-knowing. I'm not deluded to think that, and so I think it's great to have people who are experts in different areas come and talk about different stuff. Now, the next topic I want to talk about is kind of video quality. So hopefully this video is better quality than the last one, and my hope is that I can continuously improve the video quality over time up until the kind of relaunch of the channel, at which point hopefully it's quite good. I have tried to increase the depth of field a bit. It's a little hard, but I might make a video about my filming setup and what I'm doing right now in the future. I think those are always fun. They're never very successful, but I think there's like a small group of people who are passionately interested, and so I like to make it for those people. So video quality improvements are something else you can kind of expect over time, especially through like the station construction videos, demystifieds, etc. I have a lot of plans for them, but they They may come less frequently because I want to really focus on quality over quantity, while still maintaining, I would say, 2 videos to 3 videos a week. I'll try to keep doing these weekly update vlogs / weekly transit roundups because I think they're really fun. They're kind of almost podcast style, but yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll consider actually uploading some of them to a podcast platform, but I think it's fun to just be able to talk about like the news of the week and just do it as a roundup so that I have like a list of topics and I can just go, what are my thoughts on each of these things so I don't miss anything, and so that every topic I get to talk about it and I get a lot more coverage on the various news topics that I want to touch on without having to like randomly mention them in other videos. And so I think that's a pretty good, cool idea, and so that's kind of why I've planned that. Now, I'm also planning on doing some other topics that I haven't talked about as much. Some of them are a bit Vancouver-inspired because I'm in Vancouver, and some of them aren't. And, of course, I want to talk about other Canadian and international cities, really, when relevant, which is all the time. And so, yeah, that will, of course, continue as expected. But maybe things will be through a Vancouver lens. So when I'm talking about the Ontario line in Toronto or the REM in Montreal, I might compare them a lot more to the SkyTrain. Not that I already didn't, but... So topics I want to cover more of are what I call one-offs. So, like very specific topics. Why is this transit line this way? Why did they design this station this way? What do I think of this fare policy in this city? So, one-off topics where it's not like a necessarily recurring series, but I just do more one-off type videos. Trolley buses. You know, Vancouver has trolleys. A bunch of cities in North America have trolleys, and way more internationally do. I feel like I haven't talked about them enough. They're really cool, and so yeah, that's a topic I want to talk about. There's some things like how do the trolley buses switch wires? I think that's something people might be interested in, and so I want to talk about that. Ferries. BC is blessed with one of the largest ferry networks in the world, and I think that they're an interesting topic to talk about. I can't guarantee that I'll be doing anything on BC ferries too soon, though I do think a transit trip to downtown Victoria is in order, and I think that would be very interesting. But I'm definitely going to talk about the TransLink C-Bus, and perhaps how could that be improved or expanded upon. So I think that's another good topic that I will be covering. And then finally, autonomous vehicles and kind of like new technology and that sort of thing. As you guys know, computer science grad, I'm interested in technology. I don't hold any belief that autonomous cars are going to replace transit or anything like that. But I do think the technology is obviously completely relevant. I mean, automation is an important thing that we consider, and it's done great things for railways, like the SkyTrain and the REM and the Ontario line. And so I think that we have to think about how can that improve things like bus networks. If you don't need a driver for your bus, you could have a lot more bus service. You could have 24-hour service on a lot more routes. You could have more rural service. And so I think that these are all important topics to talk about. Anyways, that's actually the end of today's video. Not a super long one, but there wasn't a ton of news this week, at least in Canada, to talk about. There is one item, which is that the Valley Line in Edmonton is finally seeing some shelters going up in the downtown core at Churchill Station. Exciting stuff. I think the Valley Line is something I'll talk about more in the future, and I really do hope to visit the cities in Alberta at some point in the future. I can't say when, but I will visit them, and hopefully I can be on the Valley Line close to opening, which should be sometime in the next year. And so I think that more coverage can be expected of that. I'm sure I'll be back to Toronto and Montreal at some point, and Ottawa as well, and who knows what other cities. But yeah, that's it for this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching. Thanks.